Today I'm making a nutritious and healthy pumpkin soup. Pumpkin is a great source of natural vitamin A in the form of beta-carotene. I'm also using turmeric for its anti-inflammatory benefits. It is believed that a turmeric-rich diet accounts for why people of India have 1/4 the Alzheimer's rates that we have in this country. For this recipe, you'll need about 2 cups of pumpkin puree, an onion, a small apple, coconut oil, and spices. So keep watching as I make my favorite pumpkin soup. Hi everybody. Have you ever wondered what to do with that leftover pumpkin puree? Well, I've got a ton of it right here, and I decided today that I would make some pumpkin soup for my lunch. I've already chopped up a half of an onion, and it's sauteing right now with a little bit of coconut oil, about a tablespoon. I'm going to add to it a small apple, but first I'm going to take some of the peel off. I'm going to make a puree, so you could probably just leave the peel on, but old habits die hard, I guess. So I'm just going to get this peel off, or most of it, and then just chop this up into just a medium dice, because what I'm trying to do is have everything cooked down at the same time. I just added the apples to the onions. I'm going to add in some salt and some pepper. I'm going to let that cook just long enough so that the onions soften a little bit more. So everything's been sauteing for about 5 minutes. The apples are getting nice and soft, and everything's getting a nice color on them. You can see it's developing a nice brown. I'm going to add in the pumpkin puree. This is probably 1.5 to 2 cups, something like that. This is left over from a pumpkin that I roasted. I can no longer eat canned pumpkin because I've discovered that organic pumpkin in cans that are lined with this new BPA-free lining is made from corn. The lining's made from corn. So I've had a couple of really bad reactions this year, and I figured out that's what it's from. So I just cut a pumpkin in half, small, and roasted it. Took out all the seeds and salt and peppered and roasted it. And then once it was done, I let it cool and pureed it, and voila, pumpkin puree. Now the creative part of this recipe is your spices. So because I'm using pumpkin, I decided to go with pumpkin pie spice and a little bit of turmeric. If you were using butternut squash puree, curry powder would be excellent. But I'm going to go with a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then I'll put in about 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. Mix that up, and then the last thing I'm going to put in is some liquid, and this is 1/2 cup of broth and 1/2 cup of water. You can use vegetable broth, you can use all water. You just don't want anything that has too much of a flavor, because you want the flavor of the pumpkin to really shine through. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat up and let this cook until the apples and onions are all cooked completely through. And then once it is, I will put this in a blender and puree it. So this has been going on a medium to low simmer for about 20 minutes, and you can see it's thickened up. The apples are all cooked through, and it's ready to puree. Now, if you happen to have one of these babies, This is a Cuisinart quick prep. You can just throw that in there and work it through and puree it right in the pot. But I'm going to be even lazier. I'm going to put this in my blender. So I'll get the Vitamix and I'll be right back. Here I am. So you don't need a high-speed blender for this. Any old blender will do. But just make sure to leave the lid open because the soup is hot and you don't want it flying all over the place. This will allow the steam to come out so that it doesn't explode on you. All right, here we go. This smells so good. And you see it's pretty thick, but there's one more ingredient that's going to go in here. I just tasted it for seasoning and felt like it needed a little more salt. Let's see where it is now. Yeah, that's much better. And the last thing I'm going to put in here would be nut milk, except that I can't have any until they make a non-dairy milk that is not fortified or that doesn't come in cans with BPA-free lining. The only nut milk that I can have is homemade almond milk, which I don't have right now. So I'm going to put in a little dairy, and this is a little bit of half and half, and that's probably maybe 2 tablespoons. And that's going to give it a little extra richness. But yeah, this would be good with almond milk or coconut milk especially. And then if you prefer a little heat, you can add a little cayenne pepper to it, which would be good. If you prefer it a little more on the sweet side, you could add some apple cider to it as well. But otherwise, that's it. This is a nice, healthy, filling bowl of soup. There you have it, garnished with a few pecans. This makes a lovely lunch combined with some bread and maybe a green salad, a snack in between meals, or even a first course. I hope you'll give this a try. It's one of my favorite soups, especially at this time of year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.